The first hard lesson was probably understanding that we had to run the gym like a business, that we couldn't run it like our hobby, and learning how to run it as a business. And I needed help to do that. Um, so I've been with a lot of different mentors who have all helped me in all of their many different amazing ways, and I take information from all sources and kind of blend it together. But the systems that I had at 150 people had to evolve to support the gym at 300 people.
You're an inspiration to our entire organization.
Welcome to the Gym Marketing Made Simple podcast. We're going to be talking the done-for-you marketing and sales strategies proven to work with boutique fitness gyms to increase quality lead flow and grow your revenue. Don't try to be a professional marketer and waste tons of money. Let the experts at Lasso do it for you. And now, here are your hosts, Blake Ruff and Sherman Merritt.
All right, guys. Here we go. Another episode of Gym Marketing Made Simple. Sherman, I had the ladies back from last week, Aimee and Mikilah. Guys, we're going to jump right into it. This week, we're going to be talking about data and hiring in the gym because we believe that's two major things that some people don't do really well. And it can cost you a lot if you don't follow the data and hire well, right? You will be stuck on this sort of will forever, and you'll be working hard and you'll be doing many things the right way. But if you don't follow the data and hire the right way, man, this gym is going to be very hard for you to scale and grow. So, Mikilah, I'm gonna let you jump into it. Let's sort of talk about the hiring. We were sort of talking a little bit before we came live, is that one of my fears, it wasn't coming out of a mindset of abundance. It was definitely fear for me. Once I finally crossed that threshold of, oh, my gym can survive without me, I no longer have to coach anymore. One of my big fears was, well, if Mikilah quits and she's coaching 15, 16 classes per week, and I don't have anyone sort of ready or queued up, then I'm going to have to go back to doing that coaching instead of focusing on growing the business. What are some things that you have in place, or what do you do to make sure that you don't have to jump back in and get into the trenches, because it's going to distract you from growing the brand?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the best pieces of advice that I ever got was always be hiring. That mindset should never turn off. Wherever you go, whether it's, to a restaurant, to your kids' school or anyone you meet, you should actually always be in the mindset of, would this person be a good fit for hiring at my gym? And I think once I shifted that mindset and started really having informal conversations with people that then turned into formal conversations, that was just a really instrumental thing for building a quality team. I did an intro with a girl a couple of months ago, and she just wanted to be a member at the gym, but she had a bunch of coaching experience. She was a mom. She just, to me, seemed like a great fit. She had a great personality, and I was like, you know what? I feel like you're going to be a good fit on our team. And so we made that shift, and she's going to start coaching with us next week. So that is a good example of just always be hiring, because like you said, Sherman, you never want to have to go back on that coaching floor. At the beginning of opening these gyms in our businesses, we drove ourselves into the ground. We coached all the classes. We did all the things. But the foundation of being able to actually grow and scale a business is having really good quality people and having good teams. And so that's just something that has stayed important for me for the duration of, owning my gym. The other part of this is always, I like to always have an intern. So someone who is not only interested in the gym, but they're sort of a coach in training. Like you said, they're the sixth man on the bench, and they're just eager to get in the game. The last person I hired, I told her straight up, I'm like, look, I don't really have a spot for you right now, but I'm going to have a spot for you right now, or pretty soon, because this is how it always goes. You always have to anticipate that someone's going to leave next week. Unfortunately, that is kind of the business that we run. We can't control, people's life situations and what comes up for them. So it's really important for us to always be prepared that next person is going to leave at any time, and you have someone to come in as the sixth man so that you're not back on the coaching floor, because then you can't run your business. And I think another thing that I've really been focusing on lately is training processes and SOPs. I actually just made this big handbook. It's like 50 pages and it has every training process, SOP, prenatal postpartum training, what the rowers should look like when you leave the gym. It has everything in there, including like job descriptions, contracts, all of those things. I call it the 1.0 version because I know it's going to keep evolving, but at least I have that handbook there, that training piece of the puzzle, so that I know that we have a structure of what it looks like to bring someone on at the gym. And I'm always prepared to be able to do that. And I know what that training process looks like. It's very clear, so that I don't ever have to go backwards and put myself on the floor.
No, that's good. That's good.
Right.
And for me, no, but that's good though. I'm gonna let Aimee chime in, but I think for me, in the beginning, it was strictly out of sort of like selfish ambition where I was like, I just don't want to coach anymore right now. Because again, you guys know how it is. If you start a gym from your garage and you grow it, well, for years, I coached every single class. So then when I got to the point where I did have to coach, I was like, well, I don't have to go back to that. But then I realized I'm actually doing my business a disservice if I'm not focusing on growing this thing instead of coach. Again, there's nothing wrong with coaching. If you just love coaching, you can still coach some, but regardless of how much you love coaching, you can't coach 25 hours a week and grow the gym. Like, you just can't. There's not enough bandwidth. So I like to hear you saying all those things. Aimee, what do you sort of do as far as hiring goes?
I mean, I'm going to knock on wood. We've been super fortunate that I haven't had a coach leave since COVID. I'm going to double knock on wood right now. But I'm just super blessed with an amazing team of coaches that love working with us. And I try to make my umbrella big enough for everybody's goals to kind of fit in it. We have hired people because we brought on more staff and grown as a business since COVID. And Mikilah hit it right on the head. Like, you need to have a system that is repeatable, that you always do this when you onboard a new coach. Here's your handbook. This is what being part of the team looks like. This is what our expectations are of you. This is what coaching the perfect class looks like. It's all written down so everybody knows and they get it right from the start. This is what training looks like. These are our different training phases that you're going to go through before you coach by yourself. Just making sure that you have everything written down and it's an actual onboarding system.
Now, I have a question for you. I have a question for you, ladies. I know you already mentioned it a little bit, Mikilah. So at my gym, we had an internship process, right? Do both of you ladies have a formal internship process, or like how does that work for you guys? Mikilah, I'll start with you. How does that work?
Well, we do have a formal internship process, but sometimes we also get students who are like kinesiology students from local colleges, and they come in and we have them doing everything from, kid care to cleaning stuff and organizing events and all those things. But then if I have a coach that I'm pursuing, I typically need that to be a more serious and a faster process than just like a student intern. We have basically, a spreadsheet of, you're going to shadow this amount of classes, you're going to co-coach this amount of classes, we're going to do an evaluation for you on this amount of classes, and then we're going to put you on the coaching floor. And in between all of that shadowing, that's where we're going over the handbook, the expectations, we're continuing to train. In my gym, we have a heavy prenatal postpartum focus. And so it's really important for me that they are training women the way that I need them to be trained. I know every gym has their culture, but I can't just throw someone out on the floor that has a CrossFit level 1. It has to be a lot more detailed than that. So that's where that training process, is really, really important. So it's really dialed in, and I even want to scale it even more. Like I really in the next year want to create more like training videos where I don't even have to sit with people and go over things, right? That it's all just housed in, here's the video, here's the SOP. And because I personally have goals of, scaling FEM Fit beyond just the 4 walls of what it is right now. So when I think in that mindset, I know that this has to be a process that is, doesn't take any time away from me and my day to day and what I need to do to grow the business, and that someone else can do it as well too. but I think it's just a foundational thing that everyone should have in place. I have a horror story, you guys. Like when I opened FEM Fit, I hired all my friends, and it was an absolute disaster. And I was like, everybody just, here we go. We'll get out on the floor. We'll go through this. I'll do a little bit of training here and there. And one of the most important lessons that I learned is that it's really hard to differentiate between being someone's friend and being someone's boss. And I'm not saying that those two things can't live in the same place, but it's also, it has to be really defined, as to like what role and when that role is you're gonna step up to that.
We're gonna jump into guys. So we've been talking about hiring and stuff like that, which is really important. But we're sort of gonna shift because we know that, I want to make sure I say this correct. Like, gym owners can be emotional at times about certain things, and that's okay, right? But Aimee, she's the queen of data, right? Like she keeps up stuff. Like that's how she makes decisions. That's how she's wired. So Aimee, like, what are some of the key metrics that gym owners should really be keeping up with to make decisions in their business, how they're going to grow, how they aren't going to do certain things? I had a team member. She was wired similar to you. She was about the data. We actually got to the point where we added classes based on attendance. She was running numbers. I'm just like, this is the best thing since sliced bread. I've never even heard of this. But keeping up with the data really is important. But I want you to sort of talk about that a little bit, because I believe that gym owners, there's a lot of us that are sort of missing that data piece of it. It's sort of just, well, it feels like everything's okay. But when you step back and look at the data, everything's not okay, or things may be better than what they really are. I mean, we see that all the time. That's the reason when we work with gyms, when they first come on with Lasso, we're like, okay, let us see your previous 6-month data. Mm-hmm. Okay, you're averaging 4 new people per month. Now you work with us 6 months later, now you're averaging 13. We don't want to hear about, oh, well, my Break a Friend Day and my website has increased. No. The data shows before you work with us, it was 4. Now it's 13. The marketing is working, right? The data doesn't lie. When it comes to that. So Aimee, let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if you know your numbers, you can see where you're doing well, where you can improve, and those things should help guide kind of what your next steps will be as a business, so you can grow your business. At a minimum, I think owners should know weekly, if not weekly, monthly, set, show, close, how many prospects came in, how many became new members. How many leads did I have? How many members left last month? What is your churn percent monthly? That's a huge one that really tells us what is the health of your gym and the members that are in your gym. Length of engagement is another huge one, because the longer we can keep members, your revenue is going to increase from those members that already know, love, and trust you, right? And then the other one is your average revenue per member. What does that number look like? Has it increased over time? Are we able to do things within the gym with our current members that can increase that number? That's the bare minimum. We track a lot of data weekly in my gym, beyond all of those numbers, but the numbers, whatever we track, we are always asking ourselves, okay, what are we doing with this data that we've been tracking? What do we know? What are we going to do in response to those numbers? So right now we just started tracking, along with our, new people who cancel. We're tracking what membership were they on when they canceled. How many times did they actually come into the gym before they canceled?
I like that.
I don't want to know, hey, they were with us 6 months and then they canceled. They could be with me 6 months and come to 2 classes. Like, how many classes did they come to? How soon do we need to get to them to really be like, how can we help you more and support you and make you feel like you're making progress here in the gym? Because every member is different too. So that's just an example.
Every member's different.
Yeah.
No, I like that. So it's funny you say that, because for years we had, again, starting off the gym, I'm just trying to get as many people as I can, right? Like, if I want to have something, but eventually we got rid of the the 2 time per week membership. We call it 8 sessions per month. We got rid of that. I know for different markets it may work, but in my market, like it was just, I noticed I would keep up with that data. I would say, like Aimee was a great member. She was coming often. It felt like I would see her a couple times per week. Then I realized, yeah, she's been here for 6 months, but she's come twice per week. And if she's really, which most people are, they're really results focused, right? Like, yes, I like that place. It's cool. The people are nice, but I've been there for 6 months. I go weekly, like they told me, for 2 times, and I'm not getting any results. You know, she's not doing nutrition. She's not doing anything when she's not in my gym. So it's just like, I'm just paying these guys to come and hang out. Hey, listen, I like the gym. I'm gonna do something else. So I believe that, like, I love that you're keeping up with that, because that's something I didn't do. I just sort of noticed it early on. I just said, nah, get rid of it. Like, there's no more 2 times per week. Like, if you can't come 3 times per week, it just like, okay, maybe this isn't the place for you. So now with us having worked with hundreds, thousands of gyms, do you think that most people are keeping enough data?
No, definitely not.
Oh, that was a quick.
No.
That was a quick no. That was a quick
But
no.
you know, when I was a new gym owner in my first maybe 3-4 years of ownership, I didn't know to do any of that stuff either. It was things that I had to learn. But
Yeah.
when I understood the power of having that information and using it to make decisions on where we could improve and where are we going next, that's really when things started to change.
No, that's good. Yeah, I believe that, you know, because if you're someone that's wired a certain way, right? You're just like, oh, I'm just not good with numbers. I don't want to do that. You know, I can't. But the thing is, you have to surround yourself with the right people. You don't have to do everything, guys, but you're missing a huge opportunity to grow your business and make it exponentially better if you keep the data, right? Like, if I'm being honest with you guys, I'm really not a data guy. I'm a finance guy, but I'm really not a data guy, right? So for me, when it comes to finances, I can keep up with that stuff all day, but like the data, that's really not me. But we keep up with a ton of data in Lasso, and I appreciate it and I like it. It helps our business grow year over year. But if I just said, it doesn't matter, there's no telling what it would be. And I believe that a lot of gym owners sort of stick their head in the sand because, you know, they'll get on with us. We'll say, well, oh, what's your churn rate? Oh, I lose between 2 and 8 per month. Like, whoa, buddy, that's a huge number. Like, is it 2 or is it 8? Like, what's the average? Can you pull it up somewhere? Nah, I really don't keep up with it like that. Well, that makes it hard for us to really help you improve on certain areas because you don't know the real data. And I believe that, again, in the micro gym industry, that's just something that we're sort of naive about, sort of like marketing, right? There's no other, I mean, think about this, Aimee. There's no other gym concept outside of micro gyms, right? CrossFit type gyms, where companies don't do paid social media marketing, right? There's no other industry. You look at any other, you know, everyone's doing it because they understand I got to get in front of the people that I don't know, you know. But in our industry, we're just trying to flow to move. And I believe that keeping track of this data is going to be something that is going to separate the good from the great gyms. Because when you know, like you said, whatever you track, you can improve on, right? So if you're tracking all of the things, well, you can improve on all of the things. The reason that most gyms can continually, even if it's at a small scale, get more members is because we're all focused on getting more members, right? Like we're all focused on that. But when you're looking at other things, your churn rate, I believe churn rate is a huge one. I think we
Absolutely.
should dive into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Like let's dive into that a little bit. I believe the churn rate is a big one that no one really, I should say no one, I don't like that word. Many people are sort of missing the mark on that because one, the churn rate doesn't feel good, right? Like it doesn't feel good. I know for me, I remove myself from cancellations early because again, when you own a gym and someone
Yeah.
leaves, unless they're moving for any other reason, you're just like, what did I do wrong? Like, how could I have kept this person? So for me, I
Yes.
didn't like that feeling. So I remove myself from cancellations. But I still kept up with the data, right? Like the churn rate. I believe that, like, let's sort of dive into that, Aimee. Like let's talk about churn rate. How can they really track that? Because I believe if they keep up with that, then you see, like, I mean, you could look a year out and say, okay, if my churn rate stays here and I only gain X amount of people per month, this is where I'm going to be in 12 months. Oh, that's not where I want to be. Oh, okay, I need to decrease churn, increase members so
Yeah.
that I can get to where I want to be.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I mean, I would say for anyone who hasn't been tracking and doesn't know, just make a super simple Excel sheet and put your churn rate for every month of this year on it so you know about what your average is. So it's your members at the beginning of the month and percentage of how many have left by the end of the month. And that's going to be our churn percentage. If your churn is 5% or better, then I wouldn't super worry about it. But if you're like 10%, 15, 20% churn, then man, we really need to work on those things. For my gym, I have about 300 members at this point. A 5% churn rate means I'm losing, at a healthy churn rate that I don't need to worry about, 10 to 12 people a month. I need to replace all those people. So I know that my marketing needs to get me that number of people in the door. I am not going to be able to do that organically. I have to run paid marketing to get that number in the door. Even as a smaller gym, I needed to run paid marketing to get that number in the door. We talked about that on the last call. I waited a year to do Lasso, and the number of members in my gym did not change in a whole year. I knew that because I was tracking it every month, and something needed to change, and it was marketing. And that was the big thing for us. But really starting to track those numbers is really important because you need to know, do I have a churn problem or do I not have a churn problem? If it's not churn, I need to find other numbers that tell me what I need to work on next.
No, you're right. So, because I want to rub it in because you took so long. When you started with us, how many members were you at? And you just said you're at about 300 now. So when you started with us,
Yeah, I think I was around 150 maybe, somewhere around there. Yeah, and now we're right around 300 members. Yeah.
So we doubled. So guys, listen, if you're listening, don't be like Aimee. Don't wait a year.
I'm a year
Reach
behind
out.
where I could have been.
No, but I like that though, because I believe that at times when you're doing the thing, right, you just focus on the thing, right? Like you know, like I believe a lot of people, they hear about what we do and they're like, yeah, that sounds good, but I gotta fix some other things, which some businesses do. There's other things they need to fix. But I believe there's a healthy amount of gyms that we could help go from good, like you had a good gym, to like great, because now you have a great gym. I believe there's a whole ecosystem of gyms that are doing things, they're doing the right things, but we could help them basically change their lives financially and their gym community, but they just, they sort of just sit on that fence for so long. So I like that. So next thing we're going to talk about before we get out of here, I want to talk about, what do you think has been one of the hardest lessons you've learned from going from a gym that's 150 members to a gym that's 300 members? Because those are two totally different businesses.
Yeah.
Totally.
The first hard lesson was probably understanding that we had to run the gym like a business, that we couldn't run it like our hobby, and learning how to run it as a business. And I needed help to do that. So I've been with a lot of different mentors who have all helped me in all of their many different amazing ways. And I take information from all sources and kind of blend it together. But the systems that I had at 150 people had to evolve to support the gym at 300 people, because knock on wood, our churn is great right now. We work really hard on supporting 300 members. I have a staff that's amazing that helps me do that, and I couldn't do it without them. There's just no way that I, as one person, could do it with that many people. And I hope we do a good job of making sure our members understand how much we care about them.
Yeah, no, like I said, when we were talking in the last episode, I believe there's something about having a woman own a gym. The touch points are just going to be better. Like, again, like I said, my wife, she was the heart of this gym. And without her, I would have been burning through people like crazy. I'd have been gaining. But my gym, like the most members we ever had was, I want to say like 140, right? But our average revenue per member was about 290, 300. So like it sort of played itself out. But I just look at, and I remember when we were sitting at like 140, I was like, this feels like a little too many members for me. And then I can't even imagine 300.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But I have an amazing client success manager with really clearly defined roles and tasks that she does every week. I have an amazing operations manager who is a rock star. They meet weekly. I meet with the operations manager weekly. We are constantly sharing information, and that's something that we've gotten a lot better at over the years. I highly recommend Slack for gyms that have a staff. That has been huge for us for communication, because instead of a long text message that you can't ever go back and find,
we get lost. Yeah,
like I have a client wins channel that we post in weekly to share amazing things that our members are doing, so all the coaches can see it. Our Google reviews get posted in their own channel so that my coaches can all see the amazing things that people are saying about them. We have a facilities channel if anything's broken. Like it's super organized and laid out that way intentionally. It just makes life so much easier having Slack to manage a staff.
All right, this episode sponsored by Slack. Yeah. No, we don't have any echoed in Slack. We just want to see Jim Motors crush it. So,
yeah.
But yeah, Aimee, I think we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for dropping that knowledge. I believe that the owners that want to be great, they'll take some of this stuff and implement it. And guys, as always, tell a friend to tune in, and we will chat with you guys next week.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to the Gym Marketing Made Simple podcast with Blake Ruff and Sherman Merricks. We hope you enjoy. We believe marketing should increase revenue and not waste money. So book your free call today. Head on over to lassoframework.com. That's lassoframework.com and find the right words, get more customers, and increase your revenue. We'll see you here next time.